You're on? Okay, we're on. Well, actually, we just have used the two. We've actually just had to use the two in the past, so that's all right. We'll go ahead and. It's on green, so it should be on. Is yours on?
Yep.
Is that one on?
It's on.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. A little technical dilemma here. So again, in our special meeting, I was wrong. In a special meeting, there are no comments. This is strictly a special meeting for the council. So if y'all got any comments, you'll just have to hold them and discuss with me personally. If that's what you want to do. Okay, first item is the truck. If y'all would take a look at that. This is a truck that is located in it's the only truck that he's California. It's the only truck that he was able to find that has the bed on it already, the dump truck piece. And what we'll be doing is changing out the actually two trucks. The chipper truck is down. It was going to cost $10,000 just to get it up to where it needed to go, and then we don't even know if it was going to be at that point. If y'all recall from the last meeting that we discussed this, this truck can also handle the leaf and limb truck as well as the chipper. So we're needing to get rid of the leaf and limb truck in order, or chipper. We got the leaf and limb, and we've got the chipper. Those are two different things. So the leaf and limb truck will be replaced with the chipper truck, and it can be the motor behind it can pull behind this one truck. So we'll take out two trucks for the one. Is what this is about. And I can't find my.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the highlighted area on the actual invoice as you can see, the transportation cost to get it from California to here was going to be $6,500. But D2 told me that the three highlighted items there, the $1,695 for each of those three items, was actually higher than that. And the guy, salesman, or the guy who spoke with, said, I will reduce those so that those will be down far enough that it will offset the cost of the shipment. So it's basically a wash for what we're getting done there. I think he said it was closer to $5,000 each, and he wrote it down this $65.95. So that's quite a bit of a discount from that. And because his original bid was over $90,000 with the cost of the transportation. So on the truck, this is well, y'all can see everything. 22 Ram, 5,500. He said there was another truck that was a 4,500 that only had like 700 miles, but it was a little higher. But this has got 22,900, basically 23,000 miles on it. For 22 Ram.
Which account will this be paid out of? Leaf and limb or general fund?
Street
fund?
Yeah,
okay.
Street fund.
So essentially, we're going to replace two trucks that we currently run today. All right, and those two trucks, I would assume we don't have a monthly payment on those.
Well, we'll about to discuss that as well. That gets back to that process that we were talking about on the accounting deal. We've got monies that will be going back into the street, and the street will actually have.
But I think you're asking if there's not payments on the two.
There will not be. No, they're paid.
Yeah, they're here.
Oh yeah, those have been paid off for a while. Yeah, those.
They're like 30 years old.
Right.
Yeah, and there's like 200 something thousand miles on one of them, and so yeah, it's swapping it out. So any more questions on that? But no, it'll be a cash deal. They don't finance, but it'll be a cash deal, since we are gonna be transferring money back into the street fund, that we had.
Okay, well, that's where I was getting to. So it sound, I'm just thinking, my thing is trucks need, from my point of view.
Right.
The older trucks are, it's no use in putting money back in the trucks that we can just continue to have to maintain. But I was just trying to understand from a substantial standpoint going forward, the approach for the 86, would it be finance or
Yeah,
do we have funds to just outright? And it sounds like you're saying there's going to be a fluctuation of funds that would allow us to
that's correct.
absorb this and not carry any cost.
That's correct.
So. Okay, I didn't mean to get ahead, but I mean,
No,
at the end of the
no,
day,
that's fine.
that's what it boiled down to me was the numbers.
Just need to get a motion, for, to approve this and, second and all that good stuff, and we'll proceed with getting it ordered. I think he said he can get it, within the next week or so anyway. They'll process it at that point in time. Oh,
Make a motion that city purchase the 22 Ram 5500 HD, out of the street fund as needed for our chipper, to pull the chipper and leaf and limb. So it'll be one truck.
Second.
Bruce Davison,
Yes.
Andrew Silverman,
Yes.
Ann Anderson. Yes. Ferris McLean,
yes,
Tina Hillman. Yes. Mary Ellen.
Yes.
thank you. All right, on to our next agenda. Did y'all get a chance to look through all the packet that I emailed about the summary from all the audits that's been taking place over the past 3.5 years? Sissy has gone through 12 audits over the past 3.5 years instead of just 6. So it's been a process that has been very in detail. So anyway, do y'all have any questions about what we've got to do? What we're wanting to do, or what we have been I guess directed to, is the monies from each of the years from 2018 all the way through to 2023 were just carried over. The accounting procedures that took place during that time were inaccurate. Things weren't being reconciled. There was a lot of funds being placed in the wrong accounts. It was pretty messed up. So we've been getting those findings year after year after year, and it just compounded year after year after year, until we changed software in 23. That was in August of 23 is when we got the new software, and Sissy took over at that point in time. So there were still coding issues that we had to deal with. The new software provider helped us try to get through this from transferring from the old software to the new software and getting on all of our coding corrected. Our 23 audit was still reflected some findings, some problems there. But in 24, after the full year of Sissy being in here with our taking charge of that, it was almost cleaned up. This year for 25, as you recall, it's basically done. But there are some monies there, 133,000 total, that is still just kind of hanging there. Where did it come from? How did it end up being there? And that's just a reoccurring thing.
Can I ask you to clarify to everybody? I mean, we're not missing $133,000. The money was just not put, it's in an account, but it wasn't in the right account. The posting wasn't done correctly, but the money's not actually missing.
No, I got it. Question.
Yep.
And the council's being transparent to the citizens of Carlisle. I'm just curious of when was this discovered?
Can I respond to that?
I think maybe
We met yesterday with Stacy, the auditor, and she had talked to Joe Archer, who's the head of the Legislative Audit Committee. And there was quite a bit of change from the last council meeting we had. You know, what we thought, you heard the terms write-off and stuff. But that's not really what they're saying now that we need to do. One of the issues, and the biggest issue, has to do with the leaf and limb category. That money was placed into the water and sewer account, and the ordinance. I'll take blame for the ordinance. So we've always when we do an ordinance and it's charging the people something, usually it's stated either it goes in the street fund. In this case, it should have gone to street fund, or it goes into mosquito fund, which there's not a mosquito fund. It's paid out of general. There's no separate fund for mosquitoes, or for that matter for trash. What she was telling me, telling us the other day, the mayor and I and Sissy kind of met with her, was that ordinance number 337 was what they were concerned about with leaf and limb. Now this is, I think, after they changed some things in the thought when we had the last council meeting to now. I think there's been some changes with how they look at this too. And what she was telling us the other day is that the reason it needs to be placed in the street fund account as opposed to the water and sewer is because ordinance number 337 that was done back 2024, and the one before that was in 2012, said that funds for leaf and limb would go into the street fund. Now, that was mainly probably me, it needs to go somewhere. In the street fund, I thought that that's where it would go. What she's saying is that because it was put in the water and sewer fund, as opposed to the street fund, which was the ordinance said it should be in the street fund, is that's why we need to change it. Now, and what she's saying is 99,236.74 should be transferred from the water and sewer to the street fund. Now, the other part of that total is 33,893.14, which is basically the ordinances on that talks about a mosquito fund and a trash fund. Well, there isn't a mosquito fund or a trash fund. What happens is that money generally goes into the expenses are paid out of general, and the money that was put in water and sewer back some time ago was 33,893.14, which should go to the general fund because that's where the expenses are paid. So I think there's two issues. Like you said, none of it reflects any money misappropriated or lost or stolen or anything like that. It's not that at all. It's that they didn't put it. It was supposed to be in the street fund, but it was deposited in the water and sewer fund for several years. And I think Sissy's corrected that now. And it's just an accounting error. You put it, I like to say, you put it in your right hand when it should have gone in your left hand on that, but you still got all the funds. And the question would you have paid the limb and leaf out of water and sewer? Well, that's where the money was going into. You were probably paying it out of general fund, the expenses of it. And what the legislative audit is basically saying now, put it where you're paying the expenses. You're paying it out of street, the expenses, but you're not getting the revenue in on water and sewer. If you put that in a separate account, you put it in water sewer account.
Can I say something? I spoke with Stacy and she told me that the 99,236 was a restricted fund. That's why it had to go back into the street fund.
That's because
the ordinance.
Yeah.
because the ordinance
Yes,
said that.
yes.
Yeah, the
And so
ordinance
that word restricted means it can't go anywhere else. And
Or it should
that's-
not have gone.
It
yeah,
should
and that's
not.
why I couldn't understand why we could, I have a question is because I know moving that amount of money, how will that be moved? Will it be in increments? Will it be all at once? Like, Sissy, what do you suggest?
It's a lump sum.
One lump
We're gonna
sum.
pay it all back.
And that's gonna be okay because you were concerned about the water and sewer,
Yeah,
but it's
I
gonna,
looked at their accounts and they'll be okay.
okay, all right,
And so it's,
Hopefully nothing major will happen.
okay.
yeah, that's balancing out that issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's great.
The only other
Water.
issue, and you talked to Stacy too,
Yes,
we
I did.
probably talked about the same thing, is that her deal on the 33,893.14 that's in the water and sewer, that basically has to do with mosquito and trash, is that there's no mosquito and trash fund like in the 99,000. There is a fund. There's a street fund that the city has to maintain a street fund, because there's certain funds that come from the state that goes into the street fund. So that's
why it's restricted.
that's why it's
I
restricted.
learned, I mean, I don't know things, and that's why I'm asking questions, not accusing anybody of anything, but I don't understand.
Well, I could have done it, and I'm gonna talk to the auditors a little bit about this. I'm thinking going forward, if it's money for services like mosquito, trash, particularly those, is that the ordinances, when you pass an ordinance and you set whether the fee is, then that ordinance should say the funds be paid to the general fund. You know, and not a fund that, well, in this case, the mosquito and trash, that there's not a fund that exists. You know, we don't have a separate fund for that.
We used to, because
I
we
don't
used to
think-
have a bazillion funds.
I don't think we did. Well, you may be right. You know, years ago, been around a long time, but I'm not sure about that issue. But you know, it's always been a thing. And we go to other departments too, you think that everything we've got's got an account set up for a particular fund, you know, like fire department or something like that. But for the most part, what you've got is a general fund, and you've got certain accounts that are restricted. We talk restricted, one being the street. And then you have some bond funds that are also restricted too, on that. But there's a lot of things that the city does for benefit to the citizens. That's basically, kind of you pay as you go type thing. And those are generally paid out of the general fund. And I think what the legislative, and the statutes are trying to do is to limit the number of accounts you've got, because when you got to try to balance, you know, if you had an account set up for everything, you know, had an account set up for mosquitoes, you got to balance that. Well, if you're short on revenue, but you got expenses, you still got to pay that expense. So the idea that you got a separate fund for mosquito and you're overdrawn in that because you haven't collected all your money for that point, you know, shows basically an improper thing. It shows that you're paying something you don't have, but you've got other funds that does that.
And that would have been the case before our last increase, because we were not charging as much as it was costing us.
Yeah.
Well, that's in 2012.
Yeah,
That was where the original ordinance came out, was in 2012.
I think, and Ferris, correct me if I'm wrong. I think going back to Ferris's question, was this indicated on the previous audits, or was it just the 2024 audit that we just got? So each audit we received, we received this, hey, this is improper, this is improper. We just waited until we got this last one to wrap it all up.
That's what they've suggested
Okay.
all along. Anything prior to January 1 of 24 needs to there's no need to even mess with that anymore. I mean, y'all read the transcript from the legislative audit from May of 23. I mean, that was when the city had to go before the committee for the fourth time to get all this stuff squared away.
Yeah.
Because of all the entries that were there. And
it's just
that's what happened.
It's just confusing me a little bit when you say it.
Exactly.
Let's just wipe everything clean. We're not wiping everything.
No, it's
clean.
not wiping.
Okay, yeah, okay. We're taking their recommendations.
Exactly.
We're moving it exactly as they tell us to, and there's no gray area for us to mess it up in a later find. Now, a different auditor can
That's
come and find something else, because we say legislative auditor, they're third party, right? They're not.
No,
I know.
let's not get confused. There's the water and sewer audit that the
Right.
city maintains an accounting firm to come in and do that. Through all of those years, that accounting we've had three. We had some back in 2018, one guy, 2018, 2019. And then we started, he wasn't getting the audits to us on timely manner. We got behind there. 2020, we hired a new accounting firm. They did the 2021, and then they actually did the 21-22 audits for us to try to catch up. And again, that was our own
Yes.
accounting company. All right, you have the legislative audit coming in at the same time. And by the way, none of the accountants prior to that caught this with the water and sewer. And it's strictly a water and sewer audit, and they never caught this. But you get in the legislative audit, they do the whole city. So they have access to things. They don't do water and cities, but they do the city. And so you got to understand there's two things going on there. There's not one audit that took care of it all.
So will we get a water audit soon?
It's already done
Yeah.
for 25. Yeah. Yeah.
If I can explain one other thing.
And it's fine.
Well, the process, I'm kind of going to your question, I think, on this is, and Sissy, Mayor, y'all tell me I'm wrong on this, but the general procedure, and you got more information from the legislative audit than normally the council ever gets. And here's why. Generally what happens is when they do an audit, they have a kind of and I'm not sure what it's called, end of the meeting, end of the audit. Exit, that's what it is, exit. And so they don't meet with everybody. They meet with the mayor and the clerk. Now, you keep in mind that we have had issues with the mayor and the clerk being able to present things. I'm not talking about this clerk, I'm not talking about this mayor. But here's what happens is that, and I found out, I was talking to Stacy yesterday about it, because I had an issue with a thing that was, everybody knows about it, but I'm not going to name names, but the money was stolen and the lady was prosecuted. And one of the issues that I had a conversation with the prosecuting attorney about was, and I basically presented this way, either charge her with the crime or announce to that you don't have enough to do it, one of the two. And this is what he said. He said, I can't get enough information from the legislative audit to really narrow down what was actually done. And I can experience that on some of the, the audit reports. They say that you're off X number of dollars, but what you really want to know is where was it off? If you got $100,000 off, well, was it one transaction? Was it 10 transactions, 20 transactions, or what? And what I think you get that is in that exit meeting, if you ask for it, that's talking to Stacy, you've got to ask for it to come up with what they actually discovered, when they discovered it, because it's pretty hard to reconcile your books if you don't know what the total figure is. I worked in banks, and our biggest problem, because we had a posting machine in the trust department when I was trust officer, and Bobby Jean Pryor and I worked together, and it wasn't the $100,000 or $200,000 that you were off. It was the 32 cents that wound up being posted 23 cents or something that made the difference. Well, if you get the audit report and you get the auditor, and I think that's what should be required, is that when you have that exit meeting from now on, those questions are asked then. If it says your X number of dollars off, show me exactly where you found that.
But you have to ask the pointed question, and you have to speak to these people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
But the only
I
time you
think
don't,
that's where the communication gap has been.
well,
Not with this administration, but
yeah,
So-
I think in past administrations, it was probably just not understood or didn't want to know.
it'd be.
Yeah, either one. And I'm not criticizing anybody, because there's different reasons why you don't
Right.
get to, you don't understand.
But I've learned a lot in 2 weeks. I'm just gonna tell you that.
But I think what the issue is, and I'm trying to answer your question on it, is that number one, it was probably presented to the mayor and the previous clerk treasurers that we've had, not anyone we got here. And it wasn't understood, it wasn't explained to the council, because the council wasn't a part of those meetings with the legislative auditor. And so, the question I would have asked, because, I have books too, and I get audited too on some things that we do, or particularly in our or the accounts that deal with, particularly with real estate, is that, somebody telling you you're off on your books. Well, I'm confident in my staff that nobody's stealing money, but I can understand how something could be listed. But like I said, you guys, Bobby Jean, I think she still admits that it was a lot of hours that we went by trying to find 32 cents when it was 23 cents, or it was even worse. It was like two different deals that we misdid. But what my suggestion going forward, and I think it'll answer in the future, is when you know you're going to have the exit meeting, is that you have some the budget tax, at least for the council and the mayor and the clerk and anybody else that you feel like that maybe have an accounting background that they can talk to. So we're talking about apples and apples, and because I know that's what they did in that other case. They had a figure in a lot of the reports that the mayor's got here, the summaries, it shows from one figure to another, and it may be 5 times difference between those two figures. So the question is how'd you come up with that figure? And when was it posted? And what made that figure wind up in a report? And I think the only way the councils, and I'm talking about all councils, will know about that is that you have that exit meeting with the auditor, so you can discuss those things. Now, my feeling from the last meeting to this meeting is that the legislative auditors changed a lot from what they told us the first time. Write it off. That was kind of the word that was used. And then the other day we were talking about, on the street money that needs to be transferred to the street, it's because the ordinance, nobody said anything about an ordinance last month or last time we had a meeting, that was the reason. They came up with that. Yes, it's in there. Could it have said general fund? It could have said general fund too. The ordinance that I prepared, but I think I did it because I felt like the people that were going to do the leaf and limb were going to be workers in the streets department. And that was probably an oversight on my part. So I'm thinking now that going forward with any type of revenue producing things from the public, that it ought to say it goes into the general fund, because that's where your expenses are getting paid out of, and you won't have this issue in the future. I think the only reason they did that, and I think it may have changed from the previous meeting, last week or month ago, was that Joe Archer, who's the head of the Legislative Audit Committee, and Stacy, they talked about it, and his comment, I think, was, or at least this is third hand, was that because the ordinance said it goes to the street fund, these go street fund, which nobody disagrees about that. But I don't think any of the other legislative audit reports that you got would actually said that.
So essentially, we got clarification that we in the past we really hadn't got.
That's right. I agree.
So leadership and council really weren't versed enough to know exactly why some of the discrepancies were necessarily called findings, right? So to speak. So now we got clarification.
My question is, this is over $100,000. So if the legislative auditor can make a mistake, who to say she can't? Who that person might make another mistake? Well, this is 100 and some thousand. This is not 32.
But again, it was over 5 years, 6 years. That's what kept reoccurring, and it kept compounding because of the continual.
Another question, because Mike talking reminded me, when we got the recoupment of the former employee who did take money.
Yeah.
And where did it go?
Into the short reserve for water and sewer.
It went into water and sewer, even though it's likely taken from Parks and Rec.
Water and sewer had a lot taken to them.
So.
And the answer
But
that
I thought it went in street because I thought that this comment was made, well, water and sewer owes street a bunch of money, so we're just gonna put it there at the time. Seems like I recall that.
It's,
But like I say, I didn't even think about it until you started talking like that.
well, and kind of go along with, a lot of times your experience with this as law enforcement is that what's charged and what's, what you can charge and what you can prove may be different things.
Right.
And so you wind up getting a plea deal based on something maybe totally different than what actually happened. I mean, that happens. Maybe not totally different, but a lot different than what it is. So I think if you ask legislative audit where they thought the funds came from, they probably say we're not 100% certain about any of it. And that's kind of what I got. But
I mean, technically there should be a written cash flow analysis. And I don't know if anything like that's ever been done of all the funds and what they're posted.
Okay, so I got time constraint. I'm just saying, if we're gonna do something, I have to leave in 15 minutes. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get to the point of. So Mary brought that up, but like, when did that happen? The reimbursement from the deal.
When does it happen?
When did it happen? Like, or is it a reoccurring?
25,
Okay, so we got money back.
wasn't it?
24, maybe.
24?
Maybe. The reason that was done is there was some loans, and they were supposed to be putting so much money a month into those funds, and it wasn't done
It was required by the,
by the conditions of the loan.
Yeah.
And at the time,
No, that's fine.
USDA was saying we had to get that money in there.
That's fine. I'm not questioning it. I guess I'm trying to stick to the course of what we're focusing on, which is whatever the resolution we have before. So I just want to make sure we get clarification, and if it's gonna require a vote, I just want to make sure we get to where we need to be.
I have one more question. When are we gonna get the 25 general fund audit? Who does that?
They're doing it now.
they're doing it now.
Okay.
He'll be here next week, and then he'll be gone, and they'll do their reviews and stuff, so it may be 2 months, I don't know.
Didn't they kind of get the cart before the horse? Shouldn't they do? I mean, is it the state that does it?
We don't have control over that.
Yeah.
That's.
Or
are you
the
talking
state-
about
state
the,
audit
landmark?
comes where they want.
Landmark's already done the 25 water and sewer audit. It's completed. Y'all have a copy. And this was the 25 legislative audit. It's a year behind.
if I kind of, we got three different issues going
I'm
out here.
sorry.
Well, and the one that I think is before you now, and I think y'all agree, or similar, we're agreeing on with the legislative audit, is to transfer 99,236.74 from water and sewer into the street fund. That's a given because it's in the ordinance, and we do have a street fund on the 33,893.14. The impression I got from the auditor is you could transfer that or not. If you transfer it, it needs to go to the general fund. But it's kind of if you want to situation on that. But on the 99,236 that's in water needs to go to the street. And there's a resolution for that purpose. If y'all want to present it, I know you got to go.
No, I fully understand. I guess I want to make sure the rest of the council got the information they needed with it.
Clarity to the citizens, so we're gonna have to repay this money back. Are we able to get it in form of writing for this resolution?
No,
We're gonna
all
move
this,
It's our
basically
money.
taking this money from this hand and putting it in
We're
that hand.
moving that money from
That's
water
all you're
and sewer into street. Cash money. We're taking the money from water and sewer and moving it to street, that $99,000.
And the reason why it's coming up now is the audit's still ongoing. But if we can clear up these findings, they don't go on the exit report.
That's right.
Well, they will make note that that's taking place. That's right.
And next year it won't be on.
Yeah.
Right, but the this money needs to be back in the street fund, because if it's not put back in the street fund, the next time they do their audit,
They won't
or
get the
it
same
comes
thing.
up, we may not get our funding from the state.
Yes.
It's a
And
continual
so
process.
this is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
This is good.
So just to clarify, I want to kind of backtrack and sum up here. So, because we need to move along. The city received a material weakness finding on its general funds, financial records in every audit year from 2018 through 2024. And it actually kicked off a federal compliance audit that was triggered first in 2017 and again in 2022. Okay, regarding that, the accounting firm we've hired is working on the 2017 federal audit, which was never even initiated, but that it has been initiated, and they will be sending that to us the end of next week. So that's going to be another piece of the pie that's going to be taking place.
That's right.
But as of right now, it's still not. These findings, combined with unresolved water and sewer issues, contributed to Carlisle's inclusion in the state's 2025 turnback withholding funds under this particular Act 4453 of 2023. All right. However, the trend has clearly reversed since the change of city administration and the August 2023 implementation of new accounting software. Fiscal year 2024 general fund audit shows the smallest dollar misstatement in the entire 6-year record, and the ALA, which is the Arkansas Legislative Audit, reported explicitly crediting new revenue coding and staff training. Water and Sewer Department's long-running structural problems, intergovernmental fund commingling, inconsistent recognition methods, poor record retention are absent from the 2024 and 2025 water sewer audits. The only open water sewer item now is single staffing driven segregated duties finding, which is a materially different and narrower issue from the multi-problems seen in 2020 through 2023. The outstanding federal compliance audits are also interactive engagement with a CPA firm, as I stated, and we'll get that first 2017 next week. So bottom line,
My concern of the 25 is because the next sentence says the 25 general fund audit, once released, will be the next key indicator of whether this improvement holds.
and it
So there's
will,
still a
we have
lot of
spoken, they are far enough along on the 25 audit, the legislative audit, we're far enough along that says it looks like it's going to be pretty clean. So that right there is telling us that we are on track. Everything's back to where it would be, as long as we can get these resolutions passed, so we can get the monies corrected and everything taken care of. That's our job. That right there is to get those two things passed and get this finalized once and for all. So
I make the motion, we have to read it,
yeah,
make a motion that you read,
No, you don't need it.
just read it.
yeah.
You're doing a motion to read it.
Okay, well, let me read it. Okay.
Just read that. Papa.
All right, resolution number 403, resolution directing the clerk treasurer to transfer 99,236.74 for the water and sewer account to the street account for the city of Carlisle, Arkansas. Whereas the previous city clerks had deposited leaf and limb money collected from residents of the city of Carlisle and deposited funds in the water and sewer account for the city. And whereas ordinance number 337 requires all funds collected for debris consisting of limb and leaves be deposited into the street fund. Whereas all future collections for the removal of debris and consisting of leaves and trees will be deposited in the Carlisle Street Fund. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council for the City of Carlisle, Arkansas, that based on the state auditors, that the sum of 99,236.74 should be withdrawn by the city treasurer from the water and sewer funds, be reallocated pursuant to ordinance number 337 to the street fund account for the city of Carlisle. Shall the
Yeah.
resolution pass?
I make a motion, now can I make that motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Now I make a motion that we pass resolution number 403.
Second.
As read.
Chris Davison,
Yes.
Andrew Silverman,
Yes.
Ann Anderson,
Yes.
Ferris McLean,
Yes.
Tina Hillman,
Yes.
Mary Edelman.
Yes.
Sissy, I don't have mine 404, but you got 404.
You make a motion for-
Which one?
Yes, 404. Yeah.
You probably need to explain this is for the,
Andrew said read.
I made a motion for the read.
you don't have to have a motion to read it.
Oh, well, Mike, can you please read it?
I'll try. Resolution number 404, resolution authorizing the adjustment of 33,893.14 previously posted to the water and sewer fund recognizing such amount as properly attributed to the general fund, the city of Carlisle, Arkansas. Whereas funds collected from the residents of the city of Carlisle for mosquito control and trash debris removal were previously posted in the deposit in water and sewer fund, rather than being properly recorded in the appropriate fund. Whereas the city has determined that the amount of $33,893.14 represents monies that were previously posted to the water and sewer fund, but were intended for and properly attributed to the general fund. And whereas ordinance number 334 mosquito and 339 trash provides for the applicable funds collected for these services to be placed in the appropriate city fund. Whereas the city desires to correct its accounting errors or records and adjust the amount of $33,893.14 so that the city's financial records properly reflect the intended allocation of those funds. Monies. And whereas the adjustment is being made to correct a prior accounting and posting error and is not intended to represent a current expenditure, appropriation, or fiscal transfer of water and sewer operating funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Carlisle, Arkansas, that the city clerk treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to make the necessary accounting adjustments to adjust, reclassify, and or otherwise remove the amount of $33,893.14 from the amount recorded as owed by the general fund to the water and sewer fund.
That's backwards.
That's backwards, yes. That should be reversed there. And to recognize such amount as properly attributed to the general fund. Be it further resolved that the city clerk treasurer shall make the appropriate accounting entries necessary to reflect this adjustment in the city's financial records. Be it further resolved that the adjustment is intended to correct the prior accounting posting of these monies and to properly reflect the financial records of the city of Carlisle.
Make a motion to pass resolution number 404 with the recommended amendment.
Second.
Chris Davidson.
Yes.
Andrew Silverman.
Yes.
Ann Anderson.
Yes.
Ferris McLean.
Yes.
Tina Hillman.
Yes.
Mary Ellen.
Lady, you'll probably have further discussion. I gotta go.
Well, I just want to say in your packet, you've got, I was at a meeting yesterday, French Hill passed that House, resolution, federal deal that's this here. Just to kind of let you see what those are. Census is coming up in 2030. They are wanting, everybody to be aware of this. 2017, they're going to start doing stuff. Well, that's what these are. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks, for taking the time out, and thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching.